Did you realize that there are more than 300,000 items in the average home? That's a lifetime of memories and a lot of material for seniors. Are you feeling overburdened? You're not by yourself. Here's the good news, though. You don't have to regret your choices or experience stress when decluttering. In actuality, a few basic techniques can help you avoid the majority of errors. Are you inadvertently harboring clutter that is consuming your time, energy, and mental clarity? Keep checking back because we'll be sharing the 8 most typical decluttering errors made by seniors today, along with solutions for 99% of them. Let's begin. Meet Diane, a 70-year-old retired teacher who has spent decades creating a home that is full with memories. Diane's home reflected her life, from the artwork of her children to the treasured possessions of her late spouse. However, Diane soon understood something when she made the decision to simplify and minimize. Her house was cluttered in addition to being full of memories. She was overwhelmed. Just like a lot of other people, Diane initially believed she could manage everything on her own, so she tried to do it all at once. However, rather than making any headway, she ended up drowning in choices and making some typical decluttering errors that made the task a nightmare. She ultimately felt stuck after discarding things she subsequently regretted and kept stuff she didn't need. Does that sound familiar? Here's the good news, though. Diane made things better, and you can too. She was able to simplify her home and find the joy and tranquility she had been lacking for years by mastering a few easy techniques. I'm going to take you through the exact steps Diane used to change her house and her life. So if you've ever felt like your belongings are holding you back or that the thought of decluttering is simply too daunting, stay with me for additional senior-specific life advice. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel before we get started. With your help, we can produce content that uplifts and empowers you at every turn. Let's get going now. The first mistake was attempting to declutter everything at once. Diane couldn't wait to get her decluttering journey underway. She pictured herself going through her house, room by room, removing the things that had gathered over the years. She envisioned it as a weekend endeavor. A few days to finish everything and experience the relief that comes from having a clutter-free environment. But she was totally exhausted by Sunday afternoon. The task at hand seemed insurmountable, and her house appeared more disorganized than ever. She was ready to give up since she was so worn out and overwhelmed. Does that sound familiar? This is a common mistake made by seniors who think decluttering must be done all at once. Our thoughts are racing with the want to simply get rid of the clutter as we see it. However, it is just not feasible to clear your entire house in a single weekend. It's similar to attempting to consume a large meal in a single mouthful. You'll choke in the end. The thing is this: decluttering doesn't have to be a binary decision. To make genuine progress, you don't have to take on everything at once. The key is to divide the procedure into more achievable, smaller objectives. Start by concentrating on a single, tiny area at a time. It could be a box of old documents, a closet shelf, or a single drawer. The secret is to begin modestly and acknowledge every accomplishment. Over time, every small victory builds to a larger change. One weekend, for instance, Diane chose to concentrate solely on her kitchen. The first thing she did was empty one drawer. She was shocked to see how much simpler it was to maintain her concentration when she wasn't attempting to empty every closet she could locate. She took on a bookcase the following weekend. Little by little, the mess began to fade. She was making significant progress without feeling overburdened before she realized it. This strategy is effective due to its greater sustainability. You're gaining momentum rather than exhausting yourself. You feel a sense of success and are inspired to keep going when you accomplish even little goals. Additionally, instead of hurrying through it, you're allowing yourself the time and energy to carefully consider what stays and what leaves. Recall that progress, not perfection, is the aim. Have you ever felt overburdened when attempting to declutter everything at once? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. The second mistake: preserving cherished objects that you will never use. Everybody has that box, or perhaps several boxes, of vintage pictures, trinkets, and mementos that chronicle their history. These objects preserve recollections of our kids' early years, memorable family getaways, and significant life events. Here's the question, though. Do they make you happy, or are they just collecting dust? Giving up emotional objects is quite difficult. Letting go of things frequently makes us feel as though the memories they stand for are being forgotten. In actuality, however, clinging to every single object does not help to retain those priceless memories. Rather, it can overtake our area and cause needless anxiety. Diane had to deal with the same problem. She possessed a box filled with vintage souvenirs from her kids' school days. Drawings, letters, and even awards that had been hidden away for many years. Every object had a backstory, and it was nearly impossible to let them go. However, Diane came to a significant realization. Rather than in the actual items, the memories resided in her heart. She therefore chose to take a different approach to the procedure. She began by photographing those meaningful objects rather than preserving everything. Items such as the vibrant birthday cards her children created for her, the preschool handprint artwork, and even the antique teacups her grandmother had inherited. Diane discovered that she could retain the memories without them taking up valuable room in her house by keeping a digital collection of these objects. In this way, Diane was able to let go of the things that didn't really add value to her life at the moment and maintain the things that meant the most. She did not sense that the memories were fading. Knowing that the most crucial items were kept in an accessible manner devoid of clutter gave her a sense of freedom and organization. Eliminating everything is not the goal. Being selective is key. Do I currently benefit from this item in my life? Does it make me happy or calm? Or am I clinging to it because of habit or guilt? Keep in mind that you don't have to preserve everything in order to honor the past. The memories can be kept in a way that doesn't burden you. Which personal object is the most difficult for you to part with? Leave a comment below with your tale. We would adore hearing it. The third mistake is not seeking assistance. Like many of us, Diane thought she had to do everything by herself. She didn't want to give her kids the chore of going through decades worth of stuff. She also believed that she would appear incompetent if she asked for assistance. So, thinking she could handle things alone, she set out to tidy her house alone. In actuality, though, Diane felt overburdened, worn out, and trapped after attempting to work through everything on her own for weeks. The mess appeared to go on forever, and she wasn't getting the results she had hoped for. She started to feel less accomplished and more annoyed. Diane had a revelation at that point. The process of decluttering doesn't have to be done alone. After a particularly stressful day of decision-making, Diane finally gave her son, Matt, a call one evening. He volunteered to help so immediately that she was taken aback. In addition to him, there were also her daughter Sarah and a few close friends who were more than happy to help. Diane was able to approach the assignment in a lighter and more manageable manner with their help. They made amazing progress together. Diane also discovered that decluttering wasn't simply about the tangible stuff. Sharing the experience was the goal. An afternoon filled with stories, laughing, and even a hint of nostalgia ensued. The task didn't bother Diane's relatives. They knew how crucial it was for her to move on, so they were glad to assist. This is an obvious lesson. Never hesitate to ask for assistance. You don't have to bear the entire load alone. You can enlist the help of friends, family, or even a professional organizer. An additional set of hands can sometimes make all the difference. Additionally, it can make a potentially stressful process much more pleasurable. Therefore, keep in mind that asking for assistance is never a sign of weakness. Doing it entirely by yourself is not the goal. It all comes down to designing a procedure that is both enjoyable and effective. Have you ever attempted to do a significant assignment by yourself just to discover that you required assistance? Tell us in the comments section. Your experience would be much appreciated. The fourth mistake, having supplies on hand in case. If you have a drawer full of cords for gadgets you no longer even possess, raise your hand. You know, just in case? All of us have done it. We keep items that we may need in the future. Similar to the phone charger you replaced 5 years ago, or the haphazard cables that seem to serve no function. It's simple to defend keeping them. I may require this in the future. Let's face it, though, those backup supplies are rarely used. Rather, they accumulate, occupying room and clogging your drawers. This was also Diane's fault. She possessed an extensive assortment of mismatched wires, extra buttons, and outdated kitchen appliances that she could utilize in the future. But you know what? The day never arrived, despite Diane's best efforts to persuade herself that these items were necessary. They merely sat there collecting dust and taking up space that could have been used more effectively. She didn't determine enough was enough until she realized how much space these forgotten things were consuming. This is the answer. Put together a just-in-case box. Give yourself a time frame, say 6 months, and put all the things you're not sure about in this box. It's time to get rid of those things if you haven't needed or used them by the conclusion of that period. Put an end to holding on to items that are useless. This strategy is effective because it lets you make decisions without worrying about regret. You're giving yourself a reasonable amount of time to choose what is valuable and what is merely taking up space by giving yourself a deadline. Furthermore, it's likely that you won't ever need that extra charger, that extra lampshade, or that pile of strange culinary utensils if you haven't needed them in months or years. Don't leave just yet, though, because the following error will startle practically everyone. Stay tuned to learn more. The fifth mistake is not having a clear plan for trash or donations. When decluttering, Diane encountered yet another issue that many people encounter. She found herself in possession of heaps of unwanted things, but she was unsure of where to dispose of them. Her dining room swiftly became a makeshift storage space for boxes and bags containing items such as books, household products, and used clothing. The issue was that these heaps were only making her home more chaotic and cluttered rather than aiding in her decluttering efforts. She felt a bit more overwhelmed each time she passed them, as though the decluttering process was never truly getting started. The answer is straightforward. Make a plan in advance. Spend some time learning about local recycling initiatives, charities, and garbage collection services before you begin decluttering. Recognize what should be thrown away, what can be recycled, and where you can donate items. In this manner, after everything is organized, you won't be left wondering where to store it all. Diane had to experience this lesson firsthand. Finally, she took the effort to figure out the locations of local garbage collection agencies, recycling drop-offs, and donation centers. The process went much more smoothly the following time she had a stack of things ready to go because she knew just where to take them. She was able to declutter effectively and without the worry of deciding what to do with everything after it was in the donate pile since she had a well-defined plan in place. One more piece of advice. Think about establishing a deadline for removing those things from your house. Keep them out of your life. Don't give yourself the opportunity to change your mind once you've made a decision. As quickly as you can, pack it up and send it out the door. This keeps the thought that I might need this in the future from returning. Therefore, before you begin your decluttering adventure, spend a few minutes researching your options. In the long run, it will save you time and stress. Where do you prefer to make donations? Tell us below. Someone else searching for a suitable site to donate might find it useful. The sixth mistake: forgetting to acknowledge advancements. Diane's decluttering quest involved more than just getting rid of stuff. It was about taking back control, tranquility, and space. However, she committed a common error as she proceeded with the process. She became so preoccupied with completing the task that she neglected to pause and acknowledge her progress. Diane didn't take the time to appreciate the little accomplishments along the way because she was too focused on the eventual result. She made progress with each drawer she opened, shelf she arranged, and donation bag she filled. However, she failed to recognize it. Instead, all she could see was the mess she still needed to clear. This is a typical error, particularly when attempting a significant life shift. We frequently lose sight of the work we have already done and become disheartened by the amount of work that remains. Here's the problem, though: every action matters. There is no competition to declutter. It's a process, and every little accomplishment is cause for celebration. Diane began establishing little goals for herself to stay motivated and prevent fatigue. For instance, she rewarded herself with a delicious lunch at her favorite cafe after organizing her guest room. She had a quiet movie night and a cup of tea after cleaning out a closet full of old clothes. Diane was able to maintain her attention on the positive aspects of the decluttering process while still receiving the emotional lift she needed from these small incentives. Here's the answer. Then, celebrate your progress by setting goals along the way. Celebrating your accomplishments keeps the momentum flowing. Whether it's by rewarding yourself with a special activity or just pausing to consider how far you've come. Keep in mind that decluttering is more than just getting rid of things. Making your life feel lighter, more at ease, and more in line with your current self is the goal. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the duties ahead, you will remain inspired and motivated if you acknowledge each step. Have you ever neglected to acknowledge your accomplishments? Which minor triumphs do you enjoy rewarding yourself with? Post in the comments. Your opinions would be greatly appreciated. The seventh mistake: clearing out without a plan. Diane didn't have a clear idea of how she wanted her house to feel once she finished decluttering when she started. She didn't take the time to explain why she was working so hard. Even though she knew she was sick of the mess, her motivation consequently began to wane. The endeavor started to feel burdensome and pointless without a clear idea of what she was aiming for. This is the reality. Going on a road trip without a destination is similar to decluttering without a plan. Even while you may make some progress, you may soon get disoriented or uncertain of your direction. When you don't know why you're doing something in the first place, it's easy to lose motivation. However, everything changed when Diane stood back and asked herself why she wanted to simplify. She understood that her objective went beyond simply getting rid of extra stuff from her house. It was to give her family a more tranquil, hospitable environment. With the clutter gone, Diane pictured her grandchildren running around the living room. She imagined spending calm evenings in a comfortable, well-organized setting where she could at last spend quality time with her loved ones without feeling overburdened. You feel more purposeful when you have a clear vision. Maybe you want to make room for new interests or experiences. Or maybe you want to design a tranquil haven where you can decompress. Whatever it is, remembering that goal will keep you going when things get difficult. Why are you decluttering, you ask? Is it to provide you more privacy? In order to simplify your life and create space for novel encounters? To furnish your loved ones with a warm and inviting home? You'll have a beacon to help you stay inspired and focused once you've established your vision. It's not simply about getting rid of items. Keep in mind, it's about making a space that is in line with your current life's purpose. Therefore, hold on to that vision and allow it to motivate you to move forward. After you've decluttered, how do you envision your room looking? Leave a comment below to share it. Tell us how you're transforming your house into a space that works for you. The eighth mistake is allowing guilt to keep you from moving on. For many of us, this one is really personal. Out of remorse, Diane kept a number of things in her house that she never used. The gift, which had never been her style, came from a well-meaning friend. Her aunt gave her a lovely vase, but it didn't fit in any part of her room. Additionally, her kids requested that she keep the old couch since it holds sentimental value. Diane found it difficult to let go of these things because she thought it would be disrespectful or that she was discarding the memories that were connected to them. We all own those things. Those who are too attached to a connection, too sentimental, or too significant to let go. In actuality, it's simple to allow guilt to prevent you from decluttering. Giving up something you've been given or inherited may make you feel as though you're betraying someone or disrespecting a precious memory. Here's the crucial insight, though: the memories and the relationship are not honored when anything is kept out of guilt. In actuality, it might burden you and make it more difficult to really appreciate the things you love. Diane discovered that cultivating thankfulness was the answer. Rather than hoarding the present out of duty, she paused to express her gratitude to the giver. She let it go, accepting the love and consideration that went into it. Diane was able to let go and find peace by learning to be thankful for everything. Whether it was a gift, a family treasure, or something she no longer needed, keep in mind that giving up something doesn't mean that the affection, memory, or significance it holds are gone. It only enables you to proceed, make room, and make place for the things that are actually beneficial to you. Therefore, try changing your viewpoint if guilt is preventing you from moving forward. Honor the memory or the relationship. Express gratitude for the object, and then let it go. It's a potent method of regretless release. Although Diane's decluttering endeavor took some time, she made amazing strides with each step. Diane was able to turn her house from a disorganized, cluttered area into a cozy, tranquil haven by implementing the techniques and advice we've discussed. After being overflowing with useless furniture and trinkets, her living room was transformed into a welcoming area where she could spend time with her family and savor the small things in life. Her friends and loved ones now find a warm haven in her guest room, which used to be a place to store anything she didn't know what to do with. Her house was a place where she could finally unwind and feel at peace since the mess was gone but the joy and memories were still there. Diane discovered that decluttering was about making her life feel lighter, more liberated, and more in line with who she was now. Not just about getting rid of things. She now has room for the things that really count, like spending time with her loved ones, taking some time to think quietly, or just appreciating the beauty of a neatly organized home. You can succeed if Diane can. You have the ability to design an environment that benefits you, promotes your well-being, and calms you. Keep in mind that the path is unique to each individual, and it's okay to proceed cautiously. It's your time now. Start your own makeover by following these instructions. A clutter-free house promotes mental and emotional freedom in addition to physical space. Please hit the like button and forward this video to someone who might benefit from these tips. Remember to subscribe if you want more personalized life advice. You'll eventually have the space of your dreams if you keep going forward.